Professional Serving Community, talkradio.nyc.
We're back. It's your boy, Philanthropy and Focus. Well, I'm your boy, Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector. The show is Philanthropy and Focus. It's confusing. Could be the altitude, man, because I come all the way up to the attic. So I might be a little air sick here, being so high up in the world, being up in the attic, 2 flights up from the kitchen where I get my coffee, the nonprofit sector connector, Philanthropy in Focus. Focus, Tommy D. Focus, man. Focus on what you're doing here. Every single week, I have another guest on the program to help them amplify the message and tell the story of the nonprofit organization. And it's just so funny how, as the nonprofit sector connector, what happens for me is people are like, Tommy D, you know who you need to talk to? You need to talk to this person. Tommy D, you know who you need to talk to? You need to talk to this person. And it's funny. Trish, Mullen, and I were connected through like a different route. We were connected from my buddy, the handsome home buyer, Charles Weinraub. We were just connected. Charles knows I'm doing all the nonprofit stuff. Trish and I connected. And then as a result of that, now Trish is on the show. She came to the Professionals and Animal Lovers show lunch, the Professionals and Animal Lovers show that I do with my partner, Valerie Heffron, that my co-host over there at that program. And we had a luncheon last week all about animal advocacy and animal welfare. And I was like, Trish, I want you in the room. You got to meet these people and you got to connect with this community because I think it's important, the story you got to tell. And, that's just how it all goes. It's all about connecting. It's all about relationship building. I say this a lot. I am the nonprofit sector connector, but if it wasn't for all the other connectors, all the other people I hang out with, who are connected to the nonprofit space, who are adjacent, who work in the nonprofit space, I mean, as it goes out today, I'm doing after this program, I go to the studio and we do 4 other shows, 2 shows, Long Island Changemakers, 2 shows, Ending the Stigma Together, all about mental health. And 3 of those episodes are going to be connected to other nonprofit organizations. So, whatever happened to the little boy who got everything he ever wanted, well, he lived happily ever after. And I get to be that little boy at least part of my week. So, Trish Mullen, good morning. How are you? What's going on?
Good morning, Tommy. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. You got style. You got pizzazz. So far we met each other twice in person, and you got show us your you got a badge. You wear a bit of a badge,
Yeah,
right?
I have my little bit of swag with
love
my
swag.
my patch on there.
I'm all about swag. I'm all about the swag, man. I dig it. Like the other day when I saw you at our lunch, I had on the PAL shirt with the big old purple paw. I think you got to represent. That's what we got to do. So today, listen, I'm just so happy that you're here. I'm happy that you did get to meet some people in my network, and I want to continue that. We're going to talk about Metro NY Cops. We're going to talk about this organization, what it does, who it supports, how it serves. We're going to talk about what you need, how we can help. Talk about an old stomping ground. I used to go to Mulcahy's out in Wantagh. Mulcahy's one of the coolest places, man, on Long Island to see live acts. To really, back in the day, I used to have some cocktails, so we would have some cocktails there. And it's what a cool scene Mulcahy's is. So we'll talk about something coming up later this spring, which will be right around the corner. I mean, it's only maybe 3-4 weeks from today as we sit here right now. So really, right, it goes fast, man. Life is moving fast. Let's get into it. Let's talk about you, your background, your story. Because like the thing about the show is I always I like to be able to tell stories. It's like story time for me, It's like I I I still like to be told stories. I don't know about you, but I joke about that I listened to Matthew McConaughey read me his book Green Lights. Now when I say he read it to me because he was reading it and I was listening.
Listening.
Right. Now, it wasn't necessarily like he didn't come over to the attic and we weren't chilling out here. Like McConaughey read it on Audible and I happened to be one of the people listening to it. But I think it was just him and I. But the thing about it is, I like to be told stories. I like to learn, and that's what this program has become for me. And I think certainly it's become that for listeners because a lot of people plug in and pay attention to what we're doing. So let's get into it. Trish Mullen, tell me who you are before we even get into the story about the organization, things like that. Who are you?
I am a resident of Massapequa. I've been here for over 30 years. I married my husband, Stephen. We bought our home, and then we were here raising our children until I lost him 6 years ago in the line of duty. He is a post 9/11 cancer victim. So
My condolences on the loss of Stephen. And when we talked, yesterday, 2 days ago, you said he was your life. You were together for
he was my life.
30 years. Yeah.
We were together 30 years.
I'm terribly sorry for the
Thank
loss.
you.
Yeah, I had the opportunity. Shout out to South Shore. I grew up in Franklin Square. I live in up on the North Shore now, and I was down in Massapequa the other day because I was at a place called Strong Island Studios. I got invited to be on that show by a guy named, just so funny how things happen because it happened to me like right here. Like I was doing this show and I had two women on from the Nest at Nassau Community College, which is a food pantry on the campus of the college. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, Sharon and Helen, you need to meet my buddy Lonnie Sherman. Lonnie Sherman does a lot for our veterans here on Long Island. I don't know if you know Lonnie, Trish, but maybe you should know him too. But I'm going on this whole rant. So I hang up on, like, we finished the show, right? So I call Lonnie right away. And Lonnie's like, Tommy D, you know what? Glad you reached out. And he's got somebody in the truck with him, and they just delivered boots or something to the veterans home out in Long Island City, Queens. And I'm going on and on. I could tell it already, but I'm going to try and make a point here. So I call Lonnie that day and I said, you need to meet these folks over at Nest, and we got to get some clothing out there. They work with veterans. And he goes, you need to meet this guy, Johnny LaRocchia, who is a FDNY, retired FDNY guy. And Johnny and I have a couple of meetings, a couple of calls and stuff like that. And he invited me to be on his podcast, which is called Laughter Save Lives. And they do comedy shows. They're a nonprofit, right? He's a retired FDNY guy, and they do comedy shows to raise money for nonprofit organizations. And they are in a studio called Strong Island Studios, which is down in Massapequa, right by Broadway. About at CVS by the train station over there, right over.
Yep.
That's where they are. So I got to do a show with these guys the other night, and to be honest with you, I think I'm pretty funny. So like, and they have like a comedian go on after me, and I'm like, I'm not here to be like the straight man, am I? Like I'm funny all like I don't go on stage and do these things, but it's just a blessing how we get to meet all these different people. And I give you that to play a little bit of Long Island geography with everybody, and now I'm not a North Shore guy. I happen to live on the North Shore, right? So I always say, I give my South Shore friends a hard time. I said, listen, we appreciate the South Shore because if there's no South Shore, there could be no North Shore. So thank you. So I kind of just, let's just give the business a little local, as we say, breaking shops. So who's out walking around? I see a big old dog right there.
That's Harley Quinn, our 2-year-old German Shepherd.
Harley Quinn. What's up, Harley Quinn? I got Cheeto he's like at the bottom of the attic stairs. Now he just heard me say his name, and I haven't been able to get him because you and I were like prepping, getting ready to go. So he wants to come up here. He likes to be on the show. Why is that dog called Harley Quinn?
We seem to name our pets after Batman characters. The cat is Robin.
Okay.
My son's first cat was Batman, but his roommate in college took that cat. So when he got this black cat, he named him Robin. So when we were looking for a dog, we were like, well, let's stay with the Batman characters. And we named her Harley Quinn.
So that Harley Quinn is one cool character, man. Like
She's a good girl. She's a brat, but she's cute.
I like that. I like what German Shepherd or no? It looks
She's
like
a German Shepherd, but she's our third German Shepherd in this house.
that's awesome. Those are great old dogs, man. My guy Cheeto, he's downstairs. He's part mini Cavapoo, part Brittany Spaniel. And I always have to like say that slowly because my mind wants to say Britney Spears. But
That's what I thought of.
I always say it very slowly. Don't say part Britney Spears because he could be at the end of the day. Sometimes when he really wants my attention, he does get a little toxic. I will say that he could be toxic, like Britney in that song. But people are going, Tommy, get on with the show, would you please, man? So Trish, just talk if we could really quick. You said Stephen passed from one of the 9/11 related cancers. So
Yes.
that's also reminded me of just the other night being with these guys, these FDNY guys as well on that program. Um, you know, Tragically, so many folks, and it continues. And I think of John Stewart and how he went down, to Washington, D.C. to really fight on behalf of our first responders to make sure they receive the services and the money and the medical care and things like that.
Hmm.
And it's just so tragic that that negative ripple effect continues to go on and we keep losing people. It's September 11th was 24 years ago, and I don't laugh because it's funny. I laugh because it feels like yesterday. Feels like that Tuesday
For
morning.
many of us, it feels like yesterday, and it's the gift that keeps on giving that we really don't want, but it
No,
keeps on giving.
no, it is terrible and it's tragic and I'm sorry for your loss. So we gotta I want to take that and how you end up finding this organization, Metro Cops NY, or the website, gang. Let me say it the right way. The website is metronycops.org,
Right,
metronycops.org, and it's the Metro New York Concerns of Police Survivors.
right,
Right? Metro NY Cops encompasses 26 agencies that include New York Police Department, New York State Police, Port Authority of New York and New Jersey Police Department, Nassau and Suffolk County Police Departments, as well as all the incorporated towns and village
hmm,
departments. And then you shared something with me. It is even more vast than that at this point. But let's
yeah,
really set the stage because I'm not even sure I know how you got to the organization personally. Like, what was your first? Did they reach out to you after Stephen?
yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
During Stephen's wake, two of the ladies, one was another Suffolk County wife survivor. Her husband was killed by a drunk driver. And another one of the ladies who her brother was a trooper and he died. They came to Stephen's wake and introduced themselves to me, but all I heard was wah, 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 wah. But they gave me their business card and I was not functioning, but so then they called me a little while after the services and they said, let's get together and go out to dinner. And I was like, all right, I'll go out to dinner with these ladies. And then sitting with these ladies and another spouse survivor, I was like, wow, this is like really kind that they're reaching out to me. And I'm like, I don't understand why they would want to do this, but okay. And then going to my first memorial service in Albany and then Washington, D.C., that spring of 2019, I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I met people from this cops organization. And that's when I was like, maybe I want to go to one of their meetings. And then I came back and I realized, wow, like these people help each other. Like I'm not alone. So then I went to my first survivor weekend that September of 2019. And I was just under a year of losing Stephen. And all these ladies were there from across the country and all sharing their stories. And I was like, I'm not alone. There are other women who are like me, but we all have different paths, but yet we understand each other. And I was like, I think I need to be involved and get to know this. And that's when I started really evolving into the cops chapter. And actually, I threw myself in, and I've been very involved ever since. So I did become a trustee for a couple of years, and then from trustee, I was voted to be secretary. So then I was secretary for a couple of years, and then I decided that I wanted to run for president. So I am currently the president of our chapter. And being president of the chapter, I learned that we had 4 counties that NYPD can live in, but they had no representation because our chapter was the 5 boroughs and the island.
Mhm.
So I was like, but I don't think it's fair that you have NYPD that can live in Rochester. No, I'm sorry, not Rochester, Westchester, Orange, Putnam, and Rockland counties, and God forbid they have a loss, they don't have like representation. So I spoke to my board And my vice president, I said, I think we should adopt these 4 counties and keep all of NYPD together because I think it's only fair, which also means any of the smaller departments would fall under our umbrella also. So I met with National and I emailed National and I met with my regional trustee and said, we need to have these 4 counties adopted underneath our chapter. So I was, we were successful in doing that. So now our chapter starts in those 4 counties and comes down and all the way out to the end of the island.
Yeah. That's just so nonprofit of you to do that. That's what I'm hearing. Like, you go, wait, well, wait a minute, man. There's an opportunity here to serve more people, and there's an opportunity because there's already this um, embedded community of NYPD folks, right? So, what I guess, I mean, maybe we should shed a little light on that. So, you said Orange, Westchester, Putnam, and Rockland counties, right? So that's
Right.
you and I might say. You think that if you didn't like my North Shore, South Shore joke, get ready for this one. You and I might call that upstate, which,
I call it upstate.
dude, I told you the other day, I don't want anybody to hear this.
They don't.
No, let's just keep this between you and me and 20,000 people who check out the show. Here's the deal. I sometimes act as if everything north of the Bronx is Canada. And I know, gang, no Canada, no 51st state jokes. We're not going to do those. But here's the thing. But we down here, downstate, on Strong Island, sometimes we're a little obnoxious. I don't know. I mean, they're like, Westchester's not upstate, Tommy D. They're like, it's like right over the friggin' bridge. I go,
It's
well,
upstate.
kind of. I mean, listen, this is where it's at, baby. Oh no, there goes everybody. Everybody just turned off the radio they were listening to before. So I love that though. That's that inclusivity of so it's those 4 counties. So if I worked for NYPD, I would have to live in either the 5 boroughs of New York City, Nassau and Suffolk County, and then these 4 boroughs up. I'm sorry, not upstate.
Just over the bridge.
Just over the bridge, Tommy D. No big deal. You know what? If there wasn't so much traffic, everything wouldn't feel like it's that far away. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you said, and we'll get into that in the next segment, but you said I got to make sure we're maintaining this connection and this
Yes.
inclusivity with all these different areas. But what you told me the other day, and we will talk about it later, that again is not just serving now NYPD families. It's all picks up all these county PD,
Mhm.
right? And town and like little villages and all that stuff
Yep.
too. So it wasn't a little feat to reach out
No.
and do that. Good. Yeah.
No.
All right, but you did it anyway, and I love that. So we're going to take a quick break. We come back to show. When we come back, we'll talk more about this organization. We're going to talk about programming. We're going to talk about the meetings. We're going to talk about upcoming events, how you can all help, and how can you help? I mean, what better way than to serve and get connected to an organization that is taking care of families and survivors of a loved one who was lost in the line of duty. So we'll be right back. The show's Philanthropy and Focus, and on the nonprofit sector. Connector. Right back.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static, Join Tommy in his attic.
Baby, it's your boy, the kid, the one and only. I was on this show the other night and I go, you know, my children give me a hard time, Trish. They go, because I go around telling people, I'm Tommy D. I'm the kid, El Nino. I said they call me El Nino. So one of my daughters goes, Dad, no one calls you that. And I'm like, yes, they do. I say it all the time. I call myself, well, and then it was like one of those things like, all right, I call myself El Nino. All right, so the kid is back. But it's sort of like, remember El Nino was like that, big like nor'easter, like what comes up. I have a friend of mine, his name's Frank Orzo. I saw him just this week. He's one of the partners, my very good friend, Christine Deska, her business partner, my other very good friend, Frank Orzo. They own a company, Nonprofit Sector Strategies. They have a program called Bell's Board, and it's a board portal for nonprofits. So Frank calls me Tommy Tornado because when I'm in a room and I'm working a networking room, and you've seen me do it a little bit at the lunch last week, but I sort of, I guess, look like the Tasmanian devil, like, like
You're all over the place.
all over the place. I think they might say like a whirling dervish, maybe. I've heard that one before, but he calls me Tommy Tornado. And I go, you know what, Frank? I've had a lot of bad nicknames, so that's a good nickname. Eric Sarver checking in, who does some shows here on the network. What a great topic and a great cause. Thank you, Eric. Thanks for being here. It is a great cause. And I want to reference something that I shared while we were at break. I shared the website, strike it, reverse it, metronycops.org. Here's this statistic, Trish, that stuck out for me. It says, reality dictates there will always be a need for associations such as cops, as statistics reflect on average 160 to 180 law enforcement officers are killed every year in the line of duty. Gang, if you didn't hear it, I'll say it twice. 160 to 180 law enforcement officers are killed each year in the line of duty. I did not know that. I mean, that's a staggering number, Trish. That's truly, truly unbelievable.
Yeah, and sadly, I meet these spouses across the country. I just went on a cruise a couple of weeks ago with 80 spouses from across the country. And it was so nice to meet, other women that I hadn't met, and yet reconnecting with women that I have been friends with. And sadly, I have friends across the country, and we're all on this path together trying to figure it out every day, something none of us asked for.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Like, I'm big on talking about, normalizing conversation of people seeking treatment, seeking help, getting into therapy and things like that. And I was on a call earlier this morning with one of my friends and clients, and she and I talk a lot about trauma. And everyone has some level of trauma, and we've all experienced different things. And this is like, it comes to my mind right now as we're talking about this. My friend Linda Beagle Schulman, who runs the Scott J. Beagle Memorial Fund, always talks about, being a member of a club that nobody ever wants to be a member of.
That's what we say all the time. Or I borrowed that line from a girlfriend. I said, nobody's banging down the door to get into our club.
Yeah.
But if you need our club, we are an amazing club.
Yeah.
But nobody's banging down the door to be with us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And then, there's something to having similar lived experiences, right? Like, we're all individuals, right? So I only know my lot in life and what I've experienced, and what you experience. However, there are overlaps. And when people lose somebody the way that you all have experienced, yeah, you already kind of have something. You have, like, there's a level of, it's not exactly the same, but
But we understand each other.
yeah. So you mentioned the cruise. There's a cruise for, what is that about? There's like a survivor's cruise.
We just a couple of the women just decided outside of the cops organization, hey, let's get together and do something fun for us. So they put it out there, and about 80 of us went on the cruise, and it was a lot of fun. And next year they're talking about just going to a resort in Costa Rica.
Nice.
So we're planning on doing that. And, if other women or not just women, we have men also would like to join us, they're more than welcome to. But we had a great time. We really had a good time. It was good to just have fun and laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to take the conversation a little different direction. I got 4 different ways I want to go. So Tommy, choose one. Here's what we're going to do. You have sons.
Yes.
Yes. So it's to lose a parent and to lose a spouse are not exactly the same.
No,
So this organization, and even if you want to speak to kind of your own family, like to lose your dad, especially under these types of circumstances, does the organization have support for family?
absolutely.
Talk
And
about
I'm the first one to say that I am very blessed that I had Stephen for these 17 years to raise our sons. It breaks my heart when I see women, and mostly women, there are a few men, but mostly women who are raising children from littles. And I give them the utmost respect because I had Stephen for the 17 years and I'm very blessed that I did. But cops, the national office, which is based out of Missouri, because that's where we originated, in Missouri in 1984. So that's where our national office is. There are um, yearly retreats for like every category. So we have categories for a parent retreat, siblings, spouses, adult children, young adults. There's a kids camp for the little ones. There's a fiancés and significant other retreat. There's a coworker retreat. There's extended families. There's spouses for couples. So spouses who are now in a very serious relationship or who have remarried can go to a retreat and understand what their new spouse has been going through.
so
And actually,
let me
we've
stop that.
also gone into suicide
Yeah.
retreats.
So I want to get into that too. So the piece there, there's a topic that, first of all, I love all of what you're saying, and I think is incredibly important. And gang, if you're learning about this organization right here for the first time, go to metronycops.org. What I wanted to say there was life does go on. It must, right? Especially we have other people to be here for. And life goes on, and people may decide that they want to have a new romantic relationship. Now, what you're talking about is that opportunity for the spouse who is not a survivor and to support their new spouse or their new partner who is a survivor.
Right.
That's there's retreats where those individuals will go and just learn technique, learn strategy, just to kind of, what have you
Keep their relationship to, they'll learn to keep their relationship successful, to learn what their, the new spouse has to, there's a memory of a previous spouse and, to respect that, but yet at the same time, move forward together and they learn to do that together. It's really it's a wonderful weekend. I have not gone, but I've heard wonderful things about that weekend.
I'm sure, and there's professional therapists and folks
Yep.
like that, right? So because like there's a lot that goes into keeping relationships going, period, end of story, right? We just leave that thought there. Then you put in this extra somebody who's gone through a loss, and then a loss that is a tragic loss, right? So there's a lot that goes into that, and good on the organization to recognize that being an area of opportunity to educate people on that and be a resource to that as well. We're gonna get into. I mean, when we talked the other day, we're gonna take a break in a second. When we come back, we're gonna get into what you and I were talking about, because coming up in the next like 2 months, it gets kind of very busy from a good perspective of opportunities. National Police Week, there's memorials that you and I talked about, around the country, certainly down in DC. So I want to shout out some of that. I see there's walks, there's golf tournaments that you're promoting on the website. So we'll get into some of that stuff. And then obviously I shouted it out before. I used to love going to Mulcahy's, and I'm going to tell everybody, I'm going to tell them a little secret. On April 10th this year, I'll be down at Mulcahy's with Trish and with Metro NY Cops, because there's a really cool situation happening that night, but we'll talk about that later on. You guys have to wait. We'll tell you later. That's how this works. I'm going to tease you. That's how it goes. Take actually a quick break right now. When we come back, we're going to get into, I want to talk National Police Week, I want to talk memorials, things like that. How's that, Trish?
Sounds great.
Right back. Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Hi, I'm Linda Marsanico. The A Train to Sedona is a memoir about my journey to love and compassion. It's also the name of my new broadcast on Wednesdays at 12 noon. When we are spiritual, we embrace possibilities and ideas, which strengthen our mind, body, spirit, health, and wisdom. On the A Train to Sedona broadcast, I plan to interview guests who embrace these expansive practices. Join us on Wednesdays at 12 noon on Talk Radio New York City.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Are back. Trish, I want to ask you, while I have the website still pulled up, I actually was just kind of clicking around here and I saw the 2025 Surviving to Thriving concert. Maybe there will be music there as well, but the word is conference, Tommy.
Yes.
2025. So maybe I was thinking about that concert on April 10th. I teased them again. See what I did? The Thriving Conference, November 13th through 16th, 2025 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Tell me about, you've attended this conference, I assume.
I did. This is their second one. The first one we had was in Texas. And the one thing I loved about this conference is that when you go to a retreat, that is like the category that you fall under. So I always go to the spouse retreat. But this was everybody. So I got to meet adult children, co-workers, parents, and not just from my chapter, from all over the country, and made really wonderful connections. So then when I saw people in Washington, D.C., I was like, oh my gosh, I just saw you in February. But, when we had that last conference, but this year it's going to be in November in New Orleans, and I can't wait. I already registered to go.
I love it.
And I love that it's everybody. So
Yeah.
you meet and connect people from all the categories. And it was just a wonderful conference, and I can't wait to go again.
So how I got to this, gang, I was right on the website for Metro NY Cops. And then I just moved over to events and programs and things like that. So you can find your way there. We're going to get into what's happening on a local level here as well. So, talk to me about, like, before we get into like Police Week and memorials and things like that and recognition, what are the services that a survivor or surviving family can plug into on a local level? I understand there's meetings and things like that. Let's talk about that.
Well, our chapter has chosen to have one meeting a month, except for July and August. May, since Police Day is actually May 15th, but because sadly there are memorials all over the place, it's really become like Police Month.
Okay.
So, so May we don't have any meetings because we're traveling to all kinds of memorials. So we actually have 2 in April instead. And then we have our closing meeting in June. And then I, do a lot of background work throughout the months of July and August. And then we start up again with our monthly meetings in September. So we have monthly meetings. Usually we meet at the Nassau County PBA office. They let us use their office. But if I want to meet elsewhere, like not March, but February, I had a meeting up in Westchester for those 4 counties. And then in March, I decided, yeah, you know what? We need to meet and pull out all the Suffolk County families, not, I should say, not so, the families that live in Suffolk County and all the Suffolk County agencies. And we had a meeting in Riverhead. And I actually had like the DA, the Suffolk County DA came, the commissioner for Suffolk County came, and other agencies were present. So it was really it was a nice turnout. So I'm trying to go also count, not just invite everybody, but then specify county by county and have a meeting and, and invite those families that live in that county and say, come to a meeting, come to meet us, see what we do and get to know us. Because still a lot of people don't know about us and a lot of agencies don't know about us. So I'm trying to draw out those smaller departments too.
So what happens at a meeting though? What exactly?
It's really very casual. I'll ask if I do have a dignitary come, I'll ask them if they would speak for a few minutes. So District Attorney Ray Tierney spoke, and then Commissioner Kevin Catalina spoke, and then the president of the SOA, Jim Gruenfelder, he spoke for a few minutes. And then I'm like, well, let's open up the floor. We'll do some chapter work. Like if we have to do a vote on something, like, all right, let's just take care of some chapter stuff. And then we open up the floor. Like, this is who we are. This is what we do. We reach out to you, God forbid you have a line of duty. We want to partner with you to guide the family to say, this is what you're going to experience and this is what's going to happen. And we will be here for you to help you understand step by step what's going to happen during your wakes, your funerals, and things that come up after that. And when everybody else slows down and people kind of go back to their regular lives, we're still here. We're still reaching out to you. We don't go away. So I do try to reach out to the survivors that I know, and every once in a while I'll throw out a text to somebody, hey, how you doing today? Do you need anything? You want to get together? You want to do lunch one day? And I do the best I can keeping up with my family. So I do have a lot of lunch dates, but it's good. We sit down like, how you doing lately? What's going on? Is there something you need from me? Is there something I can help you? And sometimes it could be years later, but like I saw a spouse not long ago and she was just in a stuck place. I'm like, well, what can I do for you? And she's like, honestly, I can't even move. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to the grocery store and pick up some groceries for you.
Yeah.
And I did. It was just some basics, but she's like, thank you. Like, I'm like, this is why we're here, to still reach out and say, we're here for you.
Yeah, this is like certainly your organization is focused on a certain part of the population. However, I think what you're talking about is things we need to be doing for each other on a regular basis, whether they're a member of this club that nobody wants to be a member of or not. I mean, I think reaching out, checking in on people, something has implored me to say, folks, if you're having challenges and you've listened to this show this far, 988, that's somewhere you can call. If you're having challenges and you're having any, mental health challenges, crisis is 988 is a number you can call and you can get services. I just felt inclined to bring that up right now based on what you were talking about. I think it's important that we continue to talk about normalizing. I'd said it already once today, but normalizing treatment, normalizing connection and relationships that as it relates to I'm not okay. Sometimes we're not okay. It's okay not to be okay. You said James Gruenfelder, he's over at Suffolk County Superior Officers Association. I had to Google SOA, so I didn't want you all to have to Google it. So it stands for Superior Officers Association. So gang, so that's who that is. You started to mention something before, which I don't want to let it get lost. Excuse me. It also relates to our veteran community, and tragically, how many veterans are, have attempted or have taken their own lives. And you mentioned suicide earlier, and I wanted to give you an opportunity because I didn't want to gloss over that part of the conversation. So, you said you have support groups as it relates to suicide. What were you referring to as it relates?
Well, we also have 2 retreats a year, one in the summer and one in the fall, for those families that have had an officer take their own life. We've had 2 not that long ago in Suffolk County. One of them was a personal friend. So when it comes to losing a loved one, in my own little world, it doesn't matter to me how you lost your loved one. I treat everybody with the utmost respect because, again, for us who are left here, we didn't ask for this. So if you lost your loved one that when he went to work or she went to work, or if it's like me when they suffered with a cancer, or if it's someone that took their own life, I give everybody the same respect because we who are still here didn't ask for this, and we're all suffering and trying to figure out our path every day. So when we had the losses in Suffolk County, it was, and we've had many losses in NYPD. It's heart-wrenching. It's absolutely heart-wrenching because their mind is sick, and they just get taken over, and the only way they can find peace is by doing this. But we're left with questions and the whys. But they would take it back if they could, but it's just such a final decision.
I always, and I'm only like, this might be a silly thing to say, but I'm just one guy and one guy's opinion, right? And anytime I hear that someone has taken their own life, I feel for that individual. Of course, those of us as survivors who are still here, I feel for them as well. But I always feel like how much pain was he or she in that was the way. And that, I try to be, and I think if we could all try to be less judgmental in those types of scenarios, just for the sheer fact that like that was the only way they could get out of the pain, right? Like,
Sadly, I've gone to conferences on excuse me, on suicide, and you learn that the mind is sick.
Yeah.
So it's just I've learned a whole new way of looking at it, and I just give the families the utmost respect also because they didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
And it's tragic. It really is tragic. And I would love for them to all be line of duty, but it doesn't work that way. So
yeah, I'm sorry, please go ahead.
I know NYPD is able to get some of their suicides line of duty, but Nassau and Suffolk, they work differently, and it's really not possible. I would love for the laws to change, but it's hard.
Some folks might not realize why that designation would be important. Can you just spend like 30 seconds on that if it is deemed line of duty versus not, if you a little bit of information on that?
When you're deemed line of duty, the family receives honors. Like they will go on the wall. They're able to go on the walls, and the Albany Wall, the National Wall in Washington D.C. The pension might be changed to line of duty, which would financially benefit the family a little bit more. When it's not, I don't really know how it works for Nassau and Suffolk if it's not, but a lot of it does have to do with work.
Yeah.
And the stresses that they're dealing with on a daily basis.
Yeah, look, I've never been on the job, but I will tell you this: I have many friends who have been or are cops, and many on the fire department, and certainly love to all of our first responders everywhere on this planet, and certainly our veterans and those who are in the military now. And the thing is, I have a friend, her name is Robin Canariato, and Robin's been on the program, and she runs an organization, a nonprofit, who, just funny, was introduced to me many years ago because I have a friend who's a realtor, and they were talking, not so dissimilar from how you and I got connected, right? It wasn't like my friend who was like uber involved in nonprofit. This person was a realtor and was working with Robin on something. And my buddy Mike Stanko says, Robin, you need to meet my buddy Tommy D. You should go on his show and like all that type of stuff. Their organization is called Post Tour Processing. She's a retired detective, NYPD. She's also a psychotherapist. And last time I talked to her, she was in medical school. And she was telling me that a police officer experiences more trauma on a single tour than a regular civilian person experiences in a lifetime on a single shift, gang, a single tour. And then where we expect these individuals to just like, shake it off, man. Come on. There's no that come on. Now I can't get into the whole thing because I'm that's just not knowledgeable about it enough, but I probably need somebody from the police department to come on #ending the stigma together, because I think we certainly have to end the stigma there too. These are human beings who have seen traumatic experiences for years, right? How do you process that, right? So I can't get up on my soapbox about that because I'm not going to say I have all the answers, because the way I always start that show, #ending the stigma, is I say I don't know any of the answers. I just want to meet people and talk about the things. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break in a second here. We come back, and what we'll do is we're going to tell them. We're going to tell them what's going on April 10th. It is going to be at Mulcahy's. We'll tell them about that event. We'll tell them how they can get tickets and things like that, and how they can meet us there and celebrate with us. And it is a fundraiser, right? So going to be some baskets and some raffles and stuff. So we'll talk about that. I want to talk. I thought we'd talk about it in this segment, but I was doing mucho blah, 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 as they say. But let's talk about upcoming events in May as well when we come back. Okay.
Sounds good.
Quick break. Right back. Philanthropy and Focus.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Trish, I'm on the website, and one of the things I just found is this section called local links and resources. So that, gang, it's over here, metronycops.org, and local links and resources. So before we go on to the event and things, what I was going to ask you before was resources and other organizations. So as a family has gone through the loss, you help them access other community-based organizations and different things like that, making referrals and things. Is that right?
Yes. One of the first things I advise a family is I am a strong believer in getting and having a grief counselor. I think it's really important. I go to one. I tried for a couple of years to do it on my own and realized this is not a good thing.
Yeah.
So I have my own. I started seeing her weekly, then it was every other week, and now I'm kind of like every 3 weeks. Or if I feel like I need something, I call her, and she's been phenomenal. But I think I'm a really strong. I just feel like it's really important to have a grief counselor.
100%. Yeah, it's one of these things, like, they wouldn't exist if we didn't need them, gang. Therapy is there because it's good. Counselors are there because it's good. I love to see my guy. I see him twice a week, my therapist, and I love to see him because he just listens to me. And then at the end, maybe that's why I like him so much because he listens to me. But at the end, he has some kudos, some advice. Well, what about this? What if you try this? What if you think about the reason you're doing it that way is because you're seeing it this way, and it's super. It helps to be reflected back on. I think it's so important. So let's talk about what's going on April 10th at Mulcahy's, right over by the train tracks over there. What's the story? I one time back in the day when I used to drink alcohol, I one time left. I think it was actually my wife had left. We were kids. Her cell phone in the taxi, and the next day they had the cell phone at the taxi stand. And I remember like showing up with like Dunkin' Donuts to thank everybody because it was like such a big deal, like to get your cell phone back when you lost it. So that was before you could put things in the cloud. I don't know what a cloud is. All right, let's get into Mulcahy's. What's going on April 10th?
So Thursday, April 10th, our chapter is having a fundraiser at Mulcahy's. There'll be raffles, 50/50. It's open bar buffet, $65 a person to get in. So it's from 6:30 to 10:30. We have a live band. And we're also going to have the Nassau County Pipes and Drums will come through too for a little bit, which I'm very excited about. It's going to be a fun evening, and it's going to be, thanking everybody for supporting us. And the money we raise is used to help support, our chapter members when they want to travel to a retreat or something. We're able to not pay for everything because we don't have a lot of money in our accounts, but we're able to help offset some of their travel expenses.
Yeah.
So we just try to help people out that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to actually share the flyer real quick. We'll get you all a better copy of this. Reach out to me, Tommy D at Philanthropy and Phocus, Phocus, or Trish, what email should they reach out if they want more information about the event or anything for that matter?
They can also email me personally too. I've been taking a lot of emails, and my personal email address is Patricia Mullen, the number 5 at yahoo.com.
Tricia Mullen, number 5 at yahoo.com. Trish, got to tell you, I mean, it is, as we sit here right now, it's 3/14, the Feast of St. Patrick is upon us. And I was at the St. Patrick. So what people don't realize with a name like Tommy DeMisa, people don't realize I hail from Irish folks. My mother's family, the Coxes, the Feeneys, the Cunninghams. Tomorrow night I'll be over at an event for a St. Patrick's Day party. I was at the St. Patrick's Day lunch for the Queen's Chamber. Judge Queen's Chamber of Commerce just yesterday. So when I see, that you got the Nassau County Police. Is it the Emerald Society, the Pipes and Drums? You got the Emerald Society. That's going to be I mean, when we were at the Queen's Chamber of Commerce event, which I got to get you connected to the Queen's Chamber. We were at the event, and not only with the Pipes and Drums there, but Mookie Wilson was there. Let's go Mets, everybody. Mookie.
That's
Wilson.
fun.
Oh my God, what a great man. Now here's the thing about Mookie. He looks unbelievable because he's 69 years old. I had to Google it. I went right to my phone. And I'm not 69, I'm 47. But when we stood next to each other, we look like we're the same age. So he looks unbelievable, or I don't look so great. You guys fill in the blanks, figure it out, whatever that may be. So that was good. Let's go Mets, by the way, everybody. If you're checking in, it is springtime. We're about to launch the baseball season. So people can get connected to you. We shouted out your email address. You have a couple sponsors. It looks like the law offices of Nicole Zufich.
Yep.
So shout out Nicole, thanks for the support. Elder law and estate planning, right here on Strong Island. So very cool.
She also, even if she does the elder law and planning, she loves to work with the departments. So she's really big with that. She'll be in Washington, D.C. also. We'll be at the gala together.
That's great. Well, so actually, I should connect with Nicole. I feel like when we were talking one day, I might have sent her a LinkedIn thing, but it'd be cool for you to connect me with her. I know a lot of people. I'm happy to help her. Anybody who helps our nonprofits, especially ones that, are supporting survivor families, I'm all about. So if I can help you, Nicole, look at this big commercial for Nicole. Didn't even know that was going to happen. If I can help you, I'm happy to do so. Trish, also, I noticed, like we were talking about before, golf outings, different things like that, walks. Tell me about some of the other stuff that people should plug into and how they can help.
Well, our chapter, we're just starting to roll into doing more fundraising in a year. I'm also right now, I'm currently trying to plan a gala for us, which would be a big event, but that won't be until next April. I'm in contact with a couple of halls to see which one we'll book. But yeah, but cops nationally, they have a lot of fundraisers that they do. I would love to get more into those, but it takes a lot of planning.
Sure.
Um,
Uh,
um,
yeah,
sorry.
no, that's okay. You'd like to get more involved with some of the things they do on a national level, you're saying?
Yeah, I would like to. I mean, they do some fun things. I just got to get it into my schedule and participate more nationally. I would love to do. They have the Dobbs Ferry Walk, I think it's called. That one I'd like to do. And they have a silly a silly golf outing where you dress very silly into very silly costumes. And I think that'd be a lot of fun to
Well,
volunteer.
I would like to be part of that. I mean, if you ask anybody who plays golf with me, not only do I dress silly, but I play very silly as well. So that's shout out to my friends. Spring is here. We'll be out there doing that. But I wear the knickers, the purple knickers with the big Argyle socks and, little bit.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I try to stand out because my secret is it just looks like if I don't play well, oh, he must be having a bad day. He's not terrible at this game. He wouldn't
All about the outfit.
Yeah, like he wouldn't dress that way if he sucked. So it must not be, he must not suck that bad. So I kid. Self-deprecating humor has got me everywhere. So I noticed May 11th is the beginning of
Police Week.
Police Week. Let's hit that real quick. Let's talk about Police Week if you could. I'll share my screen and then we got about 2 minutes left.
Well, actually, Police Week was signed by, believe it or not, President Kennedy. He signed May 15th to be the Peace Officers Memorial Day, and he signed that back in 1962. So that's how Police Week ended up being on May 15th, but it's grown, sadly, to be like the whole month. So on May 13th is the candlelight vigil in Washington, D.C. The 14th is the gala, and then the 15th is the memorial service where the president comes out and speaks to all the survivors. So those are the three big events that happen in Washington, D.C.
You'll be attending these events.
I will be there. I'm flying in on Monday, the day after Mother's Day, and I will be there until Saturday. And there's like I'm gonna go to the barbecue. That's the closing ceremony on Friday night. So I'll be participating in several of the events that COPS hosts in Washington.
I love that.
But before that, we have the memorial service up in Albany for the New York State.
When is that? When will we be in Albany?
Albany,
early May.
Is May 6th.
Yeah, I told you the Queen's Chamber. We got to go in a second. I told you the Queen's Chamber is going to be there that same day, May 6th and May 7th. So what I want to do is, Tommy, you can't network. You're running a show. We'll have to network later. But what I want to do is make sure you get connected with the team over at the Queen's Chamber. The website, gang, we got to go. The website is metronycops.org. Trish Mullen is my friend. El Presidente. That's how they say it in Spanish. El Presidente of this organization here in New York, covering not only Long Island and the boroughs, but certainly the a bit upstate New York, a tiny bit upstate New York.
A bit upstate.
Trish Mullen, I appreciate you. I will be with you on April 10th. We got a lot of cool things we got to do together. Let me be part of the solution if I can in any way. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for having me.
100%. Yay, Tommy.
Yay.
I love you all. I'll see you back. I'll be right here. Actually, I'll wait for you guys. I'll be here next Friday when you all show up to view what I'm doing again. Make it a great day. If you need me, Tommy D at philanthropyandfocus.com, PHOCUS. Make it a great one. See ya. Bye. Thank you.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.